Hello there, everyone, and welcome to GamePoints episode 219. Your weekly little get-together. We talk about recent gaming news. I am, as always, your host, Stephen Brown, and joining me today is...
I'm David.
Tonight, David, we need to talk about all the stuff that's being sneaked into games after launch. We're looking at you, Bethesda. Gamescom's digital future, and a new Paper Mario was just randomly announced a couple days ago.
Right?
But first, before we get into any of that, I want everyone here to know that this is an audience interactive podcast. So if you're watching here live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time over at Twitch TV/GamePoints, or later over at YouTube.com/GamePointsPC, feel free to join in the conversation. Orlo, good to see you in chat. It has been a while since I've seen you around. Good to see you for the podcast today. David.
Yes.
We're just going to dump into this first topic right out the gate here, and I'm going to let you kind of lead more on this because, as we have established, you just know the hardware side of things generally more than I do.
That's true, but we're not talking about hardware right now. We're talking about software, but we can talk about it anyway.
Yes, but it affects your hardware in some ways, doesn't it?
Okay, so let's just talk about it. This story's from GameSpot, but it's actually from Bethesda.
Just to clarify real quick, I'm already showing my ignorance on the topic by leading that off. I know you know more about this than I do, so take it away.
All right, so Doom Eternal had Denuvo added to itself. What, now 2 months after launch? Came out February something?
I can get a date for you while you go on.
I want to say it's the 22nd or something. Bethesda decided, hey, we're going to put Denuvo in there. You know, the anti-cheat, anti-tamper thing that a lot of people really don't like because it is pretty intrusive and uses a good amount of system resources and has been statistically proven to slow down a large chunk of games that it's installed in.
And it came out almost exactly 2 months to today.
Yes. So it uses like a kernel mode driver, so it has access to your operating system. It can see a lot of stuff. Now, by nature, anti-cheat software is intrusive because anything that doesn't run until the game itself is launched can be gotten around very, very easily because you just run a program that launches before the game does, and then you do a bunch of crazy shit, and that's how a lot of other hacks work. So, in theory, they kind of need to be intrusive in order for them to work properly, but Denuvo is kind of notoriously like an anti-crack, anti-tamper device. Now, one thing I honestly don't know, does Doom Eternal have multiplayer?
Yes.
Okay. So, if cheating is rampant in multiplayer, then maybe I understand the concept of why they added this so long after the fact. But it's still really, really shitty. A lot of times, Denuvo is something that's put in the game at launch with the intention of making it so cracked copies of the game don't go out online. People can't get into it. People can't steal it, pirate, whatever the hell
At least in theory. We both know that shit gets cracked within hours after dropping, for the most part. With rare
average,
exception.
it's about 72 hours.
Yeah.
And there's been a ton of games that had it, and then were cracked, and then the developer pulled Denuvo out of the game, making fans everywhere rejoice because, hey, guess what? You don't need it anymore. Your game's already cracked, so it serves no purpose at that point.
Right.
This is the first time I've really heard of somebody adding it in so long after the fact. Hey, Dr. Hugo. Denuvo pisses me off as an idea. It's a third-party middleware, like, anti-cheat bullshit system that doesn't really work and does nothing but screw over paying consumers. Right. If you want to get down to it. There's been games that have suffered up to 50% performance hits because of Denuvo.
And with Doom Eternal specifically, that's something you don't want because that whole game is about, like, part of the experience is getting, like, the smoothest possible game experience from that. I know I said experience twice to deal with it.
Yeah.
Performance issues in Doom should never be said in the same sentence.
Yeah, no, it's insane. And there's, like I said, there's been a ton of games that have had this happen before. The big one I always think of is Tekken 7 when it came out on PC, had all kinds of issues, and the actual game director was on Twitter saying, it's not us. There's literally nothing we can fix. It's the third-party anti-cheat software that's causing it. Like, so devs are aware of the fact that this happens.
Here's the thing, though. I don't buy that excuse. Okay, cool. It's not the game itself that caused it, but something has been added to your game, meaning it is part in the game, meaning that is a distinction without a difference.
That's fair, but it depends on who you're talking to in the totem pole, right? Because the guys that are just behind the scenes doing actual coding to make the game work are not the ones trying to shove the anti-cheat in.
I get that. But once again, it's about messaging, right? I get that they're saying, hey, we can't do anything on our end because it's Denuvo's. Well, I get that, but at the end of the day, I bought a package. I bought a software package. Your software package is fucked. I don't care. Your customer service relays me to you. And you must speak for that entire package.
It's completely ridiculous.
Captain Ice Cold, we're actually going to talk about that here in a second before this topic's over with. We're going to get into that. One couple things I want to mention about this that I do know is that, one, it is important to note that this is Denuvo anti-tamper, or I'm sorry, this is Denuvo anti-cheat and not Denuvo anti-tamper. Apparently, they're two separate things, and they do
so this isn't the
anti-crack
program, because what's the point of adding a crack program 2 months after it's been released?
Right. It's also important to note that this anti-cheat program has been put into a game that requires it even for single player.
Yep.
And they have come
Spoiler alert, I'm not going to play Doom Eternal now.
Yeah. It opens yourself up to all kinds of security risks because it goes through your fucking kernel. Denuvo is notorious for that shit. And
here's the fun part, right? I don't know if you caught this, but this isn't the first time Bethesda specifically has been fucky regarding Denuvo.
No, what else has happened with this?
If you don't remember, there's a little game that Bethesda released not too long ago called Rage 2.
Yes.
Rage 2 launched in multiple storefronts, including Bethesda's own, whatever the fuck, Bethesda store. Every version of that game that you could buy online had Denuvo at launch, except for the Bethesda version. And there was tests done at launch that showed statistically you could play the game on the exact same computer, one running on Steam, one running on the Bethesda client, and the Bethesda one ran better.
That's so fucked up. I hate that so much.
And then, after 2 weeks of backlash, they went, oh, shit, sorry, guys, we didn't know. Or we're listening to the opinions of our fans. There was some, I don't remember the exact tweet, but it was fucking hilarious because it's based on some community feedback. We've decided to remove Denuvo from all versions of the game.
Yeah, it goes back to the old Chris Rock bit. You're asking for praise for something that you should have done to begin with.
Yeah.
No, fuck that. No, I hate that shit.
So this really, to me, more than anything else, more than game companies being shady, but we have more of that stuff to get into. This is, to me, another nail in the Bethesda coffin.
Yeah, Bethesda's been fucking up hard for the past
They have no goodwill with me anymore. No. I'm just over it. I don't give a shit about the next Elder Scrolls.
We used to be accepting of all the Bethesda quirks, specifically Bethesda GameWorks and stuff, how it was always kind of busted and the modders were left to fix it. We were always kind of fine with that until around the time Fallout 4 released. And we all looked at Fallout 4 and kind of went, this is cool and all, but we've seen what The Witcher 3 can do. Which came out roughly at the same time. Why does it still look like your game's 5 years dated at this point? And from that point on, it's been just this weird loss of goodwill from Bethesda. And it's been just ramping. And I'm now talking about not just the developer, but the publisher as well. And it's been ramping up over time. And now we've hit to the point where people are looking at them almost with the same eye they do EA and Activision and all the others out there. And that's not a place you want to be when you're not when you're smaller. Now, all that said, Bethesda just has to release Starfield or Elder Scrolls 6 and everyone will forgive them because we have the brain of a goldfish.
Some of us do.
Some of us do, yes.
I still haven't played Rocket League.
That's going to lead me to my next point right here. All of this leads up to the fact that if you have forgotten, let us remind you about this new and horrifying-ass trend that more and more publishers and or developers are doing to their games. So,
yep. This is our major topic this week, I think.
What has been happening is that we are moving away from things like the loot box and to a lesser degree microtransactions. They're getting not removed though. They're just getting hidden.
Mm-hmm.
And they're hiding them in things like the Battle Pass, which on its face, I am actually kind of fine with because you know exactly what you're getting for the most part in these things. And it's an upfront cost of X.
Yeah.
It just sits better with me. I can be convinced to probably be against it if someone really wanted to need to be on it. But what has been a extra lever of fuckery going on is this thing that happened here where you release a game and then a month to 2 or 3 months later, you start slipping in all this extra shit.
Yep.
And they know that people are wise. The only reason why you do this is because they know that people are wise to what's going on. So they don't have it up front. They keep it out. They patch it in later after reviewers get to it. So I have a small list, and this list can go on for a long time, but these are just the ones I could think of off the top of my head of publishers and developers doing this shady post-review, post-launch additional crap that shouldn't be in there. Let's start off with the one that...
all added way after they figured out what their Metacritic was going to be, right?
Exactly. Let's start off the one that always pissed me off, because I saw this happen firsthand, is when Deus Ex Mankind Divided. That game's a couple years old now, but they're one of the earliest examples I can think of this shit, where Deus Ex Mankind Divided had microtransactions in there, but not just microtransactions, pay-to-win microtransactions. Like, here's experience points and shit. That stuff was not actually in review copies when it got sent out.
Because it was a day one patch.
It was added in as a day one patch that is designed to keep...
That is the most devious and evil day one patch you can possibly have. It's ridiculous.
It's designed to keep reviewers from mentioning that in their reviews. And the only reason why you would do that is because you know the backlash would suck. And that game, those microtransactions did have a backlash to that game and actively hurt the sales of that game, from what I can tell. But what's been happening now is they don't do the day one patch anymore. They push them back a little bit more. Notice how we were talking about the Tony Hawk remakes that were announced recently, and they were asked about microtransactions. I took special care to point out the wording of their statement. They said, and I'm paraphrasing at this point, but they said it will not have microtransactions at launch. And no follow-ups are asked after
they
that.
reiterated at launch twice.
Yeah.
The question was asked, and the person responding said, there's no plans for it at launch. We will not have any microtransactions at launch. Something to that effect.
Now, if you asked me if the interviewer was doing their job, they would have said, well, what about later on?
Yeah.
But they didn't push them on that because there's kind of a give and take in games journalism. It's access journalism, so you don't want to piss people off too much. But what that implies is that they're going to do this thing that Doom did here, where they're going to add something in later that people are pissed off about, hoping that people already own the game at that point.
Yep. Well, because the other big thing, because keep in mind that a lot of games now, or a lot of storefronts have returns, right? You can send the game back.
After
when
2
they add
weeks,
this shit
though,
2 months after, or 2 weeks after, you're screwed. It doesn't matter.
It's a way to get around that shit. Remember when Fallout 76 launched? And they had a premium currency in there. And fucking
for some reason.
Oh, not Todd Howard. Who's the other guy? Oh, I can't remember his name. Pete Hines. I think his name's Pete Hines. Came out and said, hey, it's only for cosmetic items. It's so you can customize the way your character looks. There'll be no pay to win in this game. And then not a few weeks later, they added in repair kits and scrap kits and extra things that have a fundamental change on the way the game plays. That is them adding in shit that wasn't at launch that they knew would be received poorly. Let's not forget Sea of Thieves, where Microsoft straight up added in, say, yeah, we're not going to have it for the first 3 months. No microtransactions for the first 3 months. So that way, all the reviews come out, servers are stabilized, and then they start adding in these microtransactions because that's less a reviewer can ding the game on.
Yep.
Crash Nitro Team Racing Nitro Refueled, that new Crash kart game that got remastered.
The remaster of an old game. That's the part that pisses me off even more, right?
Oh, when they take legacy games and put it in there?
Yeah. Putting it fucking microtransactions in a remaster of an old game is the ultimate slap in the face.
Yeah. It's
fucking A.
And we all kind of knew it when we were going through their store, and it's like, wow, this looks like it could be bought with premium currency if they wanted to do that one day. Maybe they changed their mind, didn't add it in at the last second. Good on... Oh, nope, there it is.
Yep.
It's shit like this is designed to get around reviewers and people not buying your game at launch. They figure at this point they have you, now add it in. David, you mentioned earlier Rocket League. What was the Rocket League thing?
So that one was not as egregious, but it was enough to make me stop playing the game because they changed the way the key system worked, because that game used to have straight up loot boxes, right? Where you could spend $1, you'd get a key, you'd open up the box, you get a chance at a random item, blah, blah, blah. But it created a player run economy in that, people would have all these items that they opened, and you could just trade them to each other for keys. So things kind of had a going rate, like a market value. You get these wheels for your car and they're worth $2. You get this paint job for your car and it's worth $5 or something like that. They changed the entire system and they got rid of the loot boxes, which normally is a good thing, right? Because they do have their own version of like a battle pass. But they exchanged it entirely for this like marketplace where you get blueprints for items, but then you have to buy the component, or you have to build the blueprints with real money, except for the prices for everything was exponentially higher than what you could get the items for before the update. So that paint job that I wanted to get for my car that was $5 if I traded it with Random Joe, $420.69 a week ago, is now $25 in the store. Those wheels I wanted that were $2. No. Why do you think Rocket League is still not installed on my computer?
Okay, that's why I was asking. I thought they might have backed off that. I wasn't sure. I remember they clarified that they were going to change something to it when we were talking about it, but I think they haven't just said they were going to reduce prices.
They haven't changed anything to a significant margin to get me to play their game again.
Okay, that's a goddamn shame because you love that game. Hell, you participate in tournaments for it.
Yep, I have hundreds of hours in Rocket League.
There are ad nauseum examples of this happening over the past couple of years, by the way. One of the biggest ones that Captain Ice Cold mentioned in chat was the whole Call of Duty Black Ops 4 thing, where game fucking launched. A couple months later, suddenly, loot boxes. This shit has become endemic in games now. And it's... You can kind of feign the ignorance of going, oh, well, loot boxes aren't gambling, and if people didn't want them, then they wouldn't buy them. And there's some, I can at least listen to that argument.
Mm-hmm.
When you're deliberately going around hiding shit from customers, and then springing it on them 2 or 3 months later after you got them already, you know that shit is unpopular. You know that you're going to take a hit in sales and reviews if you have that in there. And what the fuck do? You wait on it. Oh, one more thing while I'm talking about hidden things, by the way. The Denuvo anti-tech shit and the Denuvo anti-cheat stuff does not actually appear in any splash screen. So if you're not paying attention, you don't know that's just been added to your computer.
Yeah, you don't know that it's on your computer all of a sudden.
There is a problem here, David, and how do we tackle it? Because this isn't necessarily as easy to go after as, say, the loot box was back when it would launch. Because then we have a clear enemy. We go, this game doesn't have it. We can punish the company by not buying that game and show our support. This, however, we don't know what the fuck they're going to add until
we have very limited 2 months. We have very limited recourse. And as you've mentioned multiple times, a lot of people that play games have a short memory, right?
I don't even want to say it's all, like, people in general have a very short memory.
That's true. Everybody. Yeah, that's funny. So Doom Eternal, right? People liked that game when it came out. It got great reviews. This whole thing happened. A bunch of people are going to be mad at it now. Me and you will probably be mad at it a little bit longer than normal. But then at some point, Doom 2022 or 2023 or whenever the fuck is
Doom Eternal has single-player DLC coming out. Once that comes out, and I'll admit it, I'll play it.
Yeah.
I'll play the single-player to it. But
even if it's got a Denuvo, you're still going to play it because you don't care. Because it doesn't actually affect you.
No. It's shady. I can express
it's egregious. It's screwy. It's dirty, but the game is still technically playable. Maybe you get some hiccups. Maybe they pulled it out by then. Maybe there's some kind of fix. Who knows? But by the time the next game comes out, everyone's just going to buy it anyway. They don't care.
Right. And furthermore, on top of all that, it doesn't fundamentally change my enjoyment of the game. But, however, I can still look at something and go, that's fucked up. They shouldn't do that, and still enjoy the product. For example, I love early Roman Polanski work. But I can look at Roman Polanski and go, he did some fucked up shit. He needs to go to jail. I love The Usual Suspects. Kevin Spacey did some fucked up shit.
Yep.
It does not change my enjoyment of The Usual Suspects. That's kind of how I see this. That you can't actively call something.
And that's the hardest part to fight, is because games are fun, right? We want to play video games. This is our hobby. This is the thing we enjoy. This is what we like to do in our spare time. So even when the companies are being crappy to us, it's better than like going outside and talking to somebody.
A quick look at the reviews on Steam for Doom Eternal, by the way. It is now sitting at mixed at a 41%. It's about to drop below mixed. That's
Yeah,
how many
they're
people have
they're
like
all from the
refunded
last
them.
few days.
Yeah, but the vast majority of them are. So,
Oh yeah,
anyways,
Captain Ice Cold. Wait, we got to
Go ahead.
talk about it because he just brought up your favorite thing that we
Oh,
mentioned
yep.
every time we talk about people never remembering or never actually holding true to their word. The infamous photo of the boycott Modern Warfare Steam group, who, when that Modern Warfare remaster or remake or whatever the hell it was released on Steam, 90% of the people in that Steam group were actively playing it day of release.
Oh, David, that picture is way older than the remaster or the remake. That was the original launch of Modern Warfare 2 on Steam.
Was that the original?
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know.
That's an old photo. It's an oldie but a goodie.
We've been talking about it for so long. I don't know. It's just like it's from somewhere in my head.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about though. Just type in Modern Warfare boycott, and you can it's like the first 20 Google image searches.
Yeah.
So to go back to what I was asking, I don't think we had a question on this. How do we fight this? Do we just not play games at all? Because we don't. It's not one of those things that we can just go, okay, well, fuck. Do we wait 6 months? Do we wait a year to
That's
play
what I'm
stuff?
doing.
I mean, that's the answer to some people. They're like, I never buy a game new. I only buy last year's game.
Well, my whole thing is that for the longest time we said don't pre-order, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not actually buying anything. You're buying a promise.
Yeah.
So pre-ordering, as a rule, doesn't actually gain you anything because guess what? They're gonna make enough copies of the game. You're gonna be able to buy it.
We live in
It's
a
gonna
digital
be
age
there
at
on
this
launch
point.
day.
It's not. There's
You
no
can
such
just
thing as a
download
digital
it.
shortage.
It's fine. So there's not really a reason to pre-order besides for the company to gauge expectations and to offer some bullshit like giving to you the game on the actual release date and making everybody else wait a few days. But now it's, the worry about the day one patch was a thing. It's like, okay, maybe wait a day to play the game to see if there's a big patch that comes out or if it's buggy or if it's got any issues. Now, dude, 90 days to 6 months. Honestly.
There's
why buy a game even in the launch window? There's no reason.
there is something. One I do want to,
Unless you want to be in the conversation, which I get. That's important. A lot of people enjoy that part of the hobby. But
in fact, I kind of have to with what I do.
That's fair.
But I'm unusual. Don't use.
But I show up.
Yeah.
I don't know anything. I haven't even played God of War yet, man. Come on.
Captain Ice Cold says in chat, it's sad that it's true. Whenever I get someone's mentioned a boycott, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong thing. All we can really do is remember the companies that fuck us over and just personally boycott them. Like, for now, they won't be getting Starfield when that comes out. Well, the good news is, Captain Ice Cold, Starfield's still like 4 or 5 years away. Like, no joke, I don't expect Starfield to like 2023. There is one solution, I guess, and it sucks. I don't necessarily want to live through it, and I'm sure people are doing this already. If this is the new future with big AAA publishers, where they put a game out, and this is going to be better if you live in a place that's not America, admittedly. They put a game out, they have a history of doing this shit, get the game day one, beat it in a week, refund it.
Except for a lot of times you can't refund it if you have more than 2 hours playtime.
I believe if you're in like Europe and Australia, knock on wood, I'm not positive on this.
Doesn't
matter as long as
you're
it's
not in the
2
US,
weeks.
it's a bit more laid back.
That's I did start off with saying if you're not in the US. If you're in the US, well,
you're fucked.
I don't know what to tell you. I know that GameStop for a while had it to where as long as you returned anything within a week, you could just get a full refund on it.
Mm-hmm.
Just if a company does this shit, start massively returning things, I guess. I don't necessarily like that solution because if that game never does end up putting in that shit, then what are you really accomplishing other than spiting game A to go after game B, which never actually made too much sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
This one's tricky. I would like to hear what your guys' answers are to this. All of them would be welcome. I'm just very curious what's going on. I mean, fuck, it could just go back to the bad old days where we just fucking pirate everything.
Dude, that's the spooky part, right? Because guess what? If you pirate Doom Eternal, you don't have to worry about any issues with fucking Denuvo.
Nope. It's like,
which has always been the case. That's how you get around Denuvo.
It's
which
like,
is hilarious because that's Denuvo's entire fucking purpose.
It's like, I'll admit it, I used to download all kinds of movies and TV for the longest time.
Allegedly.
Fair enough. Let's say I theoretically 20 years ago used to download all kinds of movies and games. And then things like Netflix came out.
And it became more convenient.
It was never about
get it.
It was never about a cost issue for me. It was about a convenience issue. because I didn't want to have to pay for cable and then pay for the 20 different trials. I know I'm saying pay, but it's a whole bunch of extra steps just to get what I want to watch. Then Netflix came out. I pay one fee. Everything I want was right there. And now we're starting to have the segregation of shit. It's no longer as convenient for me to do it that way. But you know what's always convenient? Pirate Bay. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Or Kodi, if you have the Amazon Fire Stick. If I actually use something that's actively working. Do you see what I'm saying? There comes a point where the inconvenience becomes just not worth dealing with anymore.
Yeah.
Because people will buy shit. They will buy stuff. They will go into debt to buy stuff if it's simple.
The one thing that we've always known to be true is that anti-piracy software, as a rule, serves no purpose because the people that were going to pirate the game are not going to buy it regardless.
Yeah.
It's not that you actively lose sales due to piracy. It's that people play your game that weren't going to pay for it, period.
Right.
If they couldn't pirate it, they just wouldn't play it.
I don't want to say anti-pirate. I wouldn't phrase it that way. I would say the argument that piracy costs sales doesn't exist because most of the game's sales, because you could say, hey, it's going to get cracked within 72 hours was the average. Well, most video games make their sales within the first 48. So all you need is that 72 hours.
Yeah, and it's worked before. I think the biggest success story that Denuvo had, because I was looking at it before we got into this, is Assassin's Creed, I want to say Origins, lasted for 99 days.
Yeah, that was a good run.
So if you wanted to play it for the first 3 months, you had to buy it.
Mm-hmm. Here's the thing, though. It doesn't prevent it from eventually getting cracked. All it does is, like you said, fuck people over who buy it legitimately.
Yeah. And then there's the other argument of anti-cheat, because cheating in online games is a big issue. Mm-hmm. And this is a whole other conversation, and I'm kind of shifting the topic around a little bit, but there's problems, and it's even as recent as the fact that Grand Theft Auto 5, right, just went free on the Epic Store. They just did that last week.
So they have like a wave of people coming in and doing shit?
Everybody is hacking in that game. Yeah. Because there's a million copies of it out there for free. So there's a ton of people playing it. So there's a huge influx of modders and hackers and all those things into the game. And by and large, if they get banned, hey, guess what? It doesn't cost them any money to get a new copy. They just make a new account and download it again, and there you go, back at it. And so I've seen pictures of people making like giant mechs made out of tanks and jets and walking around just like not.
Goddamn, that is kind of cool though.
And it's bad. Valorant isn't even a game that's out yet. That's got rampant cheating. Every first-person shooter in the world's got problems with aimbots and wall hacks and all the other little things, and they all have some form of anti-cheat. I remember we talked about Valorant a couple weeks ago because their anti-cheat is super intrusive and it launches at boot. Like, you turn your computer on and their cheat is on.
Right,
or their anti-cheat is on. Yeah. Valorant has one of the most intrusive anti-cheat softwares ever made.
I didn't know that.
By intent to combat cheaters.
Fuck that. I didn't know that.
It launches with your operate. It launches with your operating system. Fuck, I think it launches like before that. I think it launches in post.
It's not working though, is it?
No.
So how do we solve this? Just mass bans, IP bans? You can get around that.
Yeah.
If someone knows how to actually hack into a game to cheat, they know how to get around an IP ban.
And that's the big issue with the industry, is that everything they're doing is a band-aid. But there's no actual way to fix it, because a lot of people that cheat not to be good at the game, not to get a better KDA, not to win necessarily. They cheat to cheat. The cheating is the point.
Yeah. It's because I know I'm ruining someone's day.
Yeah, or I'm doing a thing I'm not supposed to and I'm getting away with it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people like that. It's fine. It is what it is. It's just, it sucks for a lot of the rest of us that are just trying to play a game and have a good time and that don't want all of this bullshit on our computers.
Now, that's why I think things like, I can't remember what game did it, but if your account was caught cheating, it wouldn't ban you.
Modern Warfare.
It would just start.
The new Modern Warfare, they started matchmaking that if anybody was reported for cheating, they matchmake them all together.
Yeah, and you don't know it until everyone starts doing it. I think that is a brilliant way of handling the problem.
Yeah, that's great.
It's like shadow banning.
full cheat lobbies, dude. Back in the Diablo 2 days, I used to go into cheat lobbies just to see, because you could like screw with your shit and make a crazy AoE bubble that went for 6 miles and did like however crazy amount of damage, and just find the guy that didn't type enough digits in his armor and instant kill him from a mile away. Like,
and there is something to be said about fun in that, by the way. There are some people who cheat just to do that.
yeah.
So let's see. Chat says, I'm not anti-piracy, I'm pro-consumers. So whatever gives the best experience for consumers, I'm down for it. I typically lean on that, and I understand that there is a give and take because they are also still a business. So, but I will almost always tend to lean pro-consumer as long as it doesn't... How can I say this? I can't say that I want to, so I'm not going to. I know that sounds like a cop-out, but there's no way I can state what I'm trying to think here in a way that makes sense without going into like a 10-minute diatribe, and we've already spent 30 minutes on this topic. So, yeah, let us know.
I kind of figured we were going to. You can't leave me with this kind of stuff.
This is one of those things that does get us going, is the shady shit. This falls into that category of just fucking do it out the gate.
Yeah.
Just tell me you're going to do it.
Honestly, that'd be better. Because that's the big reason why I haven't been slamming Valorant so hard. Because Riot's straight up like, yeah, we're here to combat cheaters, and this is what our software does by nature. And they had a whole thing like, in order to combat this stuff, it cannot launch when the game does because it's pointless. Because if someone has their hack software already in place before the game client opens, everything we've done is in vain. So we need to beat them to the punch. As cheats become more intrusive, because that's the thing. The cheaters are actually putting in software that's running as early or earlier. It just
the software starts up before the game starts up, and then the game doesn't. It just assumes what the things are normal rather than checking what's in the game itself.
And so the only way for them to beat it is to beat that other software. So it's just a really shitty situation on all sides, and I don't know the solution. If I knew the solution, I would be a fucking millionaire because I would just sell it to every game company.
I will always err on the side of just tell me everything up front, because when I think that you're lying to me or trying to deceive me like this shit does, that pisses me off more than anything else. Because like we were saying earlier, Denuvo sucks. I fucking hate Denuvo. Guess who's still playing Dune Eternal's DLC when it comes out?
You are.
Because I know about it. It's there. But it's when you fucking lie to me about it. That's what sets me off. Just don't lie to me about it, developers, please. David.
Yes.
Actually, first, let us know what you think down in the comments below. I'm appreciating the conversation that we're having in chat there. It's always very nice. But let us know what your solutions to this problem might actually be. Just try to keep kind of germane to the topic. And I know we can all get heated on this one. You and I were getting kind of upset on this one too. Just understand that there are actual people here. So not just when I'm not referring to us, I'm referring to like the developers and shit. So
yeah,
let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. Next topic on the docket here is the Sony State of Play focused around Ghost of Tsushima. We got a nice 18-minute look at the game. This is the ninja open world from Sucker Punch. You know, the guys that made Infamous.
Yep.
What did you think of it?
I am more sold on this game than I have been since I saw the reveal trailer.
I'm in the same boat.
I want to play this quite a lot, actually.
I actually want to play this more than Last of Us 2.
I didn't want to say that, but yeah. As a video game, it looks more fun to me.
It does. It does look a lot more fun.
Last of Us is going to be a story game that I'll play to get through the story, but this looks like an actual fun open world video game.
I wanted to mention Sucker Punch out the gate on this because as I was watching this 18-minute trailer, god damn did I not get strong Infamous vibes from it. Not funny. Not like running around doing superpower shit.
There's just going to be tons of stuff to do in that game. Right?
But just the way it felt. It felt like Infamous.
All right. I just feel like it's gonna be dense. There's gonna be a lot of shit to do.
A couple things I will say that were caught me off guard is that it's weird how the game looks amazing with its backdrops, but some of the animations look kind of janky. Like specifically his cape.
That's fair.
His cape.
Get rid of the cape. Just don't wear one.
His cape looked really blocky for some reason to me. I don't know if it was I was overcritical of it or something. It just looked really weird. And there's a couple other bits to the game. I don't want to go into too heavy of a detail.
I don't get too mad about graphic stuff and trailers. Like, let me see the game when it's in front of me, because we can always go back to the infamous like Spider-Man reveal trailer and people getting like fucking Watergate or whatever they called it when the water reflections in that one building didn't look as good as they did in the trailer. Like, it is
Yeah,
what it is,
that's
guys.
why I don't want to go too hard on it. But it's more than just the cape. I wish
Yeah.
I wrote down some more examples, but there were a couple things specific with animations that I saw and kind of went, huh. And I cocked my head at because I think that might be because my expectations of a Sony first party game are a little bit spoiled because of Uncharted, which has like
Fair.
amazing animations throughout it, or The Last of Us. I don't know if this is going to end up becoming a little bit repetitive or no, because open worlds tend to be very repetitive, including Infamous.
Yep.
And that's my concern, because I'm watching this, and he did a couple things. He went and tracked down a couple fox shrines, a couple flowers. Okay, those are collectibles. The actual gameplay we saw, he ended up raiding this let's call it an outpost, for lack of a better term, but it fits open world terminology. And he did it stealthily, Tenchu style, and he did it going in guns blazing. Okay, cool. How many times am I going to do that throughout the game?
Yeah, I get worried about the Far Cry-ness of it all. In that, yes, Far Cries are cool games, but in reality, every Far Cry is you're on a big open world, there's 11 bases, take over all the bases, fight a boss.
Get a story mission after every third takeover.
Yeah.
I'm really afraid this might fall into that formula.
Yeah, me too. But the sword stances look cool to me. I'm hoping that there's a lot more to the combat, like, you know, different weapon types and all this other stuff. I know he had like a bow, and they talk about you could change his look, and it changes kind of your skills and your stat lines and what you're doing. It was very stylish. The particle effects in particular were pretty damn impressive, running on a, you know, I'm assuming PS4 Pro.
No, that was running on, I can almost guarantee that was running on a PC.
On like a dev kit.
It might not, I'm not saying the game is coming to PC, calm down. What I'm saying is that game is running on a dev kit PC.
Yeah, that's fair. But damn, dude, if it looks even a little bit that good, it's still pretty impressive.
One thing I want to mention real quick is that has that black and white filter where you can actually.
Dude, I was saving that. Akira Kurosawa mode is 100% how I'm playing that game from start to finish.
I don't know if I'm going to play it the first time around like that way, but I do want to take a look at that, because if you haven't seen it, take a look at the black and white Akira Kurosawa mode. It looks real.
I don't think they're actually calling it that, and that's a shame.
But we all know what it is. I think they call it classic samurai movie or something like that mode.
Yeah, something like that. But it looks so tight.
I have been checked out on this game for the longest time though, but now I'm actively sold on it. But my only concern is that more and more of the open world games I've been playing lately have fallen into that Ubisoft trap, where it's too much shit to do, and it's just repetitive.
And it's 80 hours of gameplay, except for it's 20 hours of game.
Yeah, it's 60 hours of running around collecting random shit and 20 hours of cool gameplay. And that's what I'm afraid of is going to happen here. Yep. And this is Sucker Punch. I mean, I love me the 3 Infamous games. Infamous 1, 2, and 3, and Second Son were amazing games. But who here really fucking liked tracking down all 1,000 blast shards?
Never done that. I don't find everything in any open world game. My entire plan is to put this game in black and white and rush through the story. I don't give a shit if your village is on fire or you need help finding your cat in a tree or whatever the hell the side quests are going to be.
Fair enough.
Just want to kill the bad guys in black and white.
And I'm afraid it's going to be on those lines. That's going to be the dense ones. Because as I'm watching that trailer, I watched how he walks up to like this house. I'm like, oh, what's going to be in this house? It's going to be like some Red Dead Redemption shit. We have like a random thing going on in the background. And he just walks in there, grabs a couple of rare supplies, and leaves. Yep. And I immediately went, shit.
Empty building.
Empty building that you know is going to be showing up on the map as a location. So you got to fucking check it out if you want to complete it. And it's just going to be like 2 supplies and a stack of linen. And I saw that, and that's more than anything else in that trailer. It made me go, fuck. I hate that. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. But we'll see. That game is out soon. Let's take a look at chat here real quick. Let's see. Captain Ice Cold says, lost interest for Last of Us after the leaks. Fair enough. I'm still going to play it. I have had that game spoiled the shit out of me. I think if it wasn't spoiled, I probably would have been fine with how it supposedly ends. I'm not going to mention that here, so don't worry about that. Orlo says, Far Cry 3 flashbacks intensifies. Yeah, Far Cry 3 is really the first game that started kind of that Ubisoft game. I mean, when I say Ubisoft game, we all know what I'm talking about now.
That's why I said the Far Cry-ness of it all.
Yeah.
Like, we got it. We're all talking about the same thing.
David, let's go through some quick announcements that's happened recently in this little announcement block that we had, because it turns out we had a bunch of random dates and game announcements over the past week.
It's a good week for us.
It is. Nothing that we can really get too deep into, because a lot of it's just quick blurbs, but I want to go through it. First of all, we have Paper Mario, the Origami King.
Dude, hell yeah.
Stealth announced out of nowhere, coming July 17th. That's 2 months from now. David, I'm really loving this trend. Now, I don't want to say trend, because I thought it was going to be a trend and they backed off it, but I love it when a game is announced and it comes out in 2 months. Really like that. It's a Paper Mario game. We've said multiple times, there is rarely a bad Mario game, not counting things like Mario Tennis or Mario Golf, but like an actual platform-ish Mario game. There's not a bad one. Origami everywhere. Metroid's teased at the end. Looking forward to that. Next, we have Mafia Trilogy officially announced. They've been slow jerking this one for a while.
That thing we all knew was coming.
A little bit more details than I thought it was going to be. The first Mafia is going to be completely remade from the ground up. So it is a full remake. New story, new quest, updated script. Not want to say new story, but updated script, new cutscenes. That is going to be playable August 28th, 2020. But out today, Mafia 2 Definitive Edition with a 4K upgrade, and Mafia 3 Definitive Edition. Essentially, both of those have all the DLC attached as well. Cool thing to note, if you own those games already, Mafia 2 and Mafia 3, I should say, you're going to get updated to the Definitive Editions for free.
I love it when that happens. That's always
nice.
The coolest thing.
I would say
Dark Souls remastered.
I would say the big draw here is the remake of the first Mafia game.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. The fact that they're changing the script and there's whole new gameplay sequences, that's really cool.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Did you ever play any of the Mafia games?
No, I played Mafia 3.
Did you finish Mafia 3?
No. I played a decent chunk of it, maybe 2/3 or so, and then at some point, something else got my attention, and I played something else for a while, and by the time I tried to get back into it, it was that I'd waited too long,
I never played the first two, but I did play 3 as well. That story is legitimately good.
Yeah, for sure.
It sucks that it's kind of trapped behind bad gameplay, because, like, if you look at the map of Mafia 3, the entire southern half of that map just might as well not exist. It's all swampland, and anytime a mission sends you down there, it fucking sucks.
Yeah, let me get in this airboat and spend 20 minutes driving to this thing so I could shoot these 3 guys and then get an airboat back or try and get a car.
If they could rejigger that game in a way that only has the top half of that map, I'd be far more pleased with that game. But god damn, the acting in that game's superb.
Or just smooth out the transitions or something. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of a really good game in there.
Soundtrack is amazing to that game.
Hell yeah, it is.
Fucking love the character of Donovan, your little CIA spook that helps you out. And that ending. Now, I don't mean the post-credits ending. That's awesome on its own. But without spoiling, as you're driving to the final point, from that point on, it's very memorable.
That's cool.
Yeah, if you haven't taken a look at Mafia 3, take a look at it. It's damn good. Also, true to form, anytime you hear painted black paint hearing in any media, shit's going to go horribly wrong.
Hell yeah, it is.
But that is out today. And additionally, finally, at the end, Crusader Kings 3, given a date of September 1st, even though I don't have it in my notes anymore.
Yes.
Now, I never played Crusader Kings, which is weird because this channel lives on Paradox games.
Yeah, it's actually really funny that it's the one, sim strategy game that I have played a lot of that you actually haven't. Considering what you do all the time, all day, every day.
There's a reason for it. It's because...
It's huge. Crusader Kings is... Well, I mean, you play a lot of Stellaris. That game is very obtuse. Crusader Kings is the great-grandfather of Stellaris before they figured out how to make things accessible. Yeah,
Crusader Kings is very dated, and when you're dealing with grand strategy games, dated is not necessarily good, because I have been spoiled by the interface to things like Hearts of Iron and Stellaris, where it's just like, okay, here's this. I have to go back to legacy thinking to play Crusader Kings these days.
Dude, I can't Crusader Kings is the game that you can't even play with a tutorial. I watched 3 solid hours of YouTube videos before I even figured out how to get out of my duchy. It's intense. There's a lot, but once you get into it, dude, it's a really cool game. And I'm really excited to play the third one.
Looking
I hear it's
forward
going to
to
be more accessible, and they've probably learned a lot making all these other simulation games. So I'm willing to bet it'll be a bit more friendly, but I'm hoping just as wacky and weird and crazy.
Now, one thing I want to bring up, because you said you're hearing it's going to be more accessible. A lot of people freak the hell out when they hear that, but accessible does not necessarily mean more shallow. Now, in game development, a lot of times it does mean it. So, for example, if you look at the Elder Scrolls, Bethesda lets it go, it's the most accessible Elder Scrolls yet, and they keep dumbing it down with every edition. Like, if you compare the modern Elder Scrolls to the way they used to be, that's not accessibility. That's dumbing down. Accessibility, in my brain, means clean up the fucking interface. Put in a better tutorial. Make it easier to understand what's going on without making it easier to play. Without taking things out to do it. Just clarify things.
That's you can leave all the complexity. Just simplify the approach to it, right?
Yeah.
So that it's easier to read. It's easier to understand what's happening. You can still have a million systems stacked on top of systems stacked on top of features.
Now, I get why people have the negative knee-jerk reaction to when they hear the term accessible, however, because of what I was mentioning. Because a lot of times in game development, accessibility does mean dumbing something down. Because they just don't have a better... They don't have a more positive way of saying that.
Terms in the gaming lexicon are kind of jumbled in that we don't necessarily have the right words to describe everything.
And then you add in your business Twitch speak bullshit where you try to make it as positive as possible.
Means even a different thing than accessibility.
Yes, it does. Right? It does.
It's completely just it's a whole other thing.
So I get why people hear that phrase and go, ugh. And you know what? I haven't played Crusader Kings 3 yet. It might be dumbing things down. But on its face, I just want to say accessibility is not necessarily a negative thing. It's what the company means by accessibility. That we have to take a look at. Let's see. David, I think that does it for the quick game announcements. I have one story I want to get into real quick, and then I'll let you do the final one here.
Cool.
And this one hurts. And it really only affects me.
And the only person in the whole world this affects is Steven.
Via VideoGameChronicle.com. Headline. Ownership of System Shock 3's website has been transferred to Tencent. So, I'm a huge System Shock fan.
Mm-hmm.
System Shock 2, I think, is one of the greatest games of all time. It is arguably it is permanently in my top 5 games. Depending on what day you catch me, it is number 1 with a bullet. I was very excited to hear about the remake of System Shock 1 by Night Dive Studios. I'm glad that Stephen Kick dialed back on their scope because they were getting kind of out of hand. They went, oh shit, we're growing too big. Let's just go back to what people want. System Shock 3 sounded like a dream come true. You had Warren Spector coming back to do it. It was going to have the original voice actor coming back, Terry Brocious, all that good stuff. And then we heard a couple months ago that Other Side Entertainment, the guys that were making it, more or less kind of went out of business in all but name only. This all coincides with Starbreeze blowing up. Because they were the publisher behind the game. And then you had a bunch of people like their PR team coming out saying, yeah, we've all been fired.
Mm-hmm.
Or laid off, rather. Let's use the appropriate terminology here. And for all intents and purposes, it sounded like System Shock 3 was dead. And then I start hearing the other day, when the story first broke, grumblings that, hey, someone might have bought the System Shock 3 web domains. It's like, all right, they found investment, they found a publisher, they found something, they're coming back, and it's fucking Tencent. Now, you would be right to fear Tencent. I'm not going to go on my Tencent rant right now, because God knows I'll be talking about them probably another 2 weeks anyways. Because they'll buy something or invest in something. All you need to know is that Tencent is a Chinese megacorp that owns a good chunk of almost everything that you play. And when you are a Chinese business, you are beholden to the whims of the Chinese government. Now, I get a little conspiratorial here. Admittedly, I have no proof.
For the record, it's not just here, it's everywhere.
Yeah. I have no...
It gets a little conspiratorial.
I have no proof that this is happening. But there is a lot of circumstantial evidence that tends to support the fact that if the Chinese government just wanted everyone's information, they could go up to Tencent and go, give it to us, and Tencent will go, Anything you want. Whereas at least in America, there are legal protections against that shit. This is one of the reasons why people distrust Epic. This is one of the reasons why people distrust Blizzard. This is one of the reasons why I hate the fact that one of my most beloved franchises of all time is now in the hands of fucking Tencent, apparently. Admittedly, the only thing that we know is the following. Both SystemShock3.com and SystemShock4.com had their ownership transferred from developer Otherside Entertainment to the Chinese corporation last week, analysis of the domains by VGC shows. Prior to this month, the domains were registered to Otherside Entertainment director Paul Neurath. System Shock 3's developer has been searching for new investment for much of 2019 following its separation from foreign partner Starbreeze in the February of the same year. Remember, Starbreeze blew up because they're like, I think it was their CEO was like just recently busted on securities fraud or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Creative director Warren Spector told VGC in May of 2019 that talks were progressing with a lot of interested publishers and that Otherside had enough capital to fund itself for quite a while. However, Otherside also stood appeared to be in trouble this year when an anonymous developer claimed its development team was no longer employed and LinkedIn confirmed the exit of senior leads. This is more or less some of what we've been talking about. It sounds like Spector found his interested publisher, and it sounds like it is Tencent. Now, the only thing that we have to go on right now is that they own the web names.
Yep, that's it. That's all you got.
But why would you buy the web names, and why would they agree to transfer ownership of the web names over to Tencent if they didn't?
Maybe it's a really fancy, elaborate squatter, right? They're going to squat because Tencent doesn't have enough money, so they're going to squat on some web domains for whoever tries to buy this. No,
I fucking hate this.
Sorry, bro.
I hate it. Because as we've established before, when it comes to this shit, I do not have the courage of my convictions. So guess who is going to be fucking playing System Shock 3 the day it fucking comes out?
Oh yeah, dude. I'm gonna come over and hang a Chinese flag on your garage.
You better, as long as it's like the Republic of China flag, we're good to go. By the way, Taiwan's a country.
I'm gonna hire some people to stand in front of your house with signs that say "Free Hong Kong."
Free Hong Kong. Taiwan's a country. David, take us home with the last news bit of the show.
All right, update by Jeff
I'm
Keighley.
very, not to interrupt, but I'm very crestfallen over this Tencent shit. By the way, I want to go on like my rabbit hole and just go on about them for like 30 minutes, and I'm trying really hard to hold back on that.
Save it. You can do a GamePoints mini tomorrow when you've collected your thoughts and really just tear into it. For right now, though, our boy Jeff Keighley, who's neither ours or a boy.
He's been a man ever since he was a boy.
Gamescom opening night live will now take place on August 27th and kick off 3 days of Gamescom 2020. They're planning a spectacular show that'll also be the grand finale of Summer Game Fest. If you haven't heard of that yet, that is Keighley's upcoming video game-based online extravaganza that's kind of replacing a lot of the conferences and cons that have been canceled due to the whole, COVID-19 situation.
Not to be confused with IGN's Summer of Games.
Yeah, which I did confuse just last episode. So if you want to watch me be an idiot, you could just tune into us on YouTube. Gamescom had a quote in gamesindustry.biz, "We can seize the opportunity to prove how digital events can work." So a little backstory, a lot of different things have been canceled. Back in April, the ESA confirmed that E3 would not take place in any form in 2020. Rather than follow suit, the organizers behind Gamescom, the German Games Developer Association Game and Kolmanes, I don't know how you say that.
Kolmanes.
Committed to delivering an all-digital event this summer. We asked ourselves how we should react because so many events are calling off everything and going for next year, said Felix Falk, the managing director of Game. But really quickly, we decided we definitely wanted to go digital. For one thing, because our digital strategy greatly expanded last year, we had such great progress that we didn't want to wait another year to proceed. Last year saw the debut of perhaps the biggest single addition to Gamescom in its lifetime, the Jeff Keighley fronted Opening Night Live, which was a major success, attracting more than 500,000 concurrent viewers at its peak. Falk describes 2020 as an investment year, as it affords a unique freedom to experiment with new ideas and formats. So we do have a little bit of a light in the tunnel, right? So we know the Summer Game Fest is happening. We're still going to get a lot of game news this summer. Video games aren't canceled. This stuff's still happening. And now we've got a big show to cap off that whole thing. So that's
David,
kind of
I fucking love this mentality, by the way. He's like, fuck it. It's the ESA goes, no E3, no, we're not doing anything for it. The association in Germany, Game's like, fuck it, we're going to take this year to try all kinds of unusual shit and see how it shakes out.
Right. Also, Game, best name for a video game related company.
Oh, I fucking hate it. God damn, I hate it. I hate it so much. It's so confusing.
I just want to work. I'm going to move to Germany just to work for Game. That's fucking awesome.
Where do you work? Game?
Yeah,
yes,
dude, I work
but
at Game.
what in games? Just all Game.
I work in Game.
I don't like it. I don't like it. But I love this.
I commute to Game.
They have UK brand. Captain Ice Cold, I don't think that Game, which is a developer association in Germany, is the same as Game, which is a retail store in the UK. I honestly do think I'm not trying to be an ass. I don't know if they're owned by the same people at the top, but I think the Game in UK that you're thinking of, because I know you're based in London, is different than this Game here. Because there is in London or in the UK, Game is like our GameStop. In fact, I think they're owned by the same people, which is bad for Game. The UK Game, not the German Game. Yeah, shit's confusing.
Oh, I love it. I love every minute of it. Anyway, I think that's really cool. This is great. Yeah. I'm excited that we still get game news, right?
Don't just sit back and fucking let shit just not happen. It's like, no, let's fucking do something. Let's put our heads together and fucking think of shit, which is why I respect Jeff Keighley so much. Hey, the man is forever the Dorito Pope, first and foremost in my mind.
Yeah, and he doesn't give a shit. He's down.
But I like that he keeps trying to make the industry what seems like a better place. And hey, no one is beyond criticism, and God knows we gotta start
slamming that guy's Twitter and get him on this show.
God knows he's earned a lot of it. But I still, and I've said this multiple times, I still think he is a more positive influence on the games industry than a negative one.
For sure.
And I fucking love him for it, because there are so many things that are in this fucking thing that we talk about that are a net negative.
Yeah, dude, I have no issues with Keighley being like the face of gaming. I think I've said this before. I think he's got a great mentality. He's got a good personality. He's a very friendly person. Like he's got a good head regarding games.
As long as he
if
doesn't
some huge scandal comes out in like next year, I will be devastated.
Yeah, I don't want
completely crushed.
I don't want him to have like a Me Too moment or be caught fucking a goat or something like that. Dude, I'm afraid that's going to happen.
If Keighley falls, I will lose all faith in humanity.
David.
That's it.
If Keighley has any skeletons in his closet, we're not going to find out for at least another 3 or 4 months when this is over, because I don't think the universe would be that cruel to us. In the meantime, as we wait to find out what his horrible racist past might actually be, to find out how he's going to milkshake duck us, what can we look forward to playing to keep ourselves entertained in the meantime?
Okay, new video games. I'm gonna have to do a lightning round because we're short on time. But it
turns out we both got real salty about Denuvo, and I kind of went off on a Tencent tangent there.
Yeah, I knew the first one was coming, but I should have expected the second. Anyway, Golf with Your Friends comes out for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC, and Mac. Nothing is out of bounds. You take on courses filled with fast pace, exciting, simultaneous mini golf for up to 12 players. The cool thing here is that it is 12-player 3D mini golf that is complete mayhem. Think party golf, but in a 3D environment vibe. You remember party golf?
Yeah, I remember party golf.
Weird modifiers, the course trying to screw with you, and it's just a mini golf game, but it looks pretty fun. Wonderful 101 is getting a remaster coming out for PS4, Switch, and PC. This is that action-adventure game that was on, I think it was a Wii U game, right?
It was. Bring every Wii U game in a remastered form. In fact, I so believe that this is Nintendo's ultimate. Now, admittedly, this isn't a Nintendo game. This is a Platinum game, but it was exclusive to the Wii U. I believe any title that was abandoned and set adrift on the Wii U needs to be remastered for modern systems, because as far as I'm concerned, this is a brand new fucking game.
Yeah, for sure. I've heard people like this game. It's like this action adventure. There's like 100 different heroes you can play as. You're going around beating people up, and it looks pretty cool. Plus, it's a platinum game. And
at first blush, it strikes me as superhero Pikmin.
Yeah, I can see that.
Speaking of which, I do fully expect Pikmin 3 to be announced for like an August release within the next month or so.
Yeah, that's cool. That's not now. We're talking about new games. Get out of here.
Just don't know that while we're on the topic.
A Fold Apart hits PS4 and Xbox One. This is that adventure strategy puzzle game. This has been on PC, I think, for a little while now. This is the one where you're playing kind of like on a piece of paper, and there's two different characters. So it's like that puzzle game where you're playing as the guy, and like he has kind of like the blue backgrounds, and you're doing some puzzles, and then you flip the page, and you're playing as the girl character, and you're like trying to work the characters together to solve puzzles. So very atmospheric, kind of like a journey, or not a journey, but Limbo. No, what's the other one? Braid, something weird, indie, emotional like that.
All
Cannibal
right.
Cuisine comes out for Switch and PC. This is a casual adventure game that's, to me, got like Fat Princess vibes. Remember that old PS3 game? Like very cartoony, where you're running around beating each other up.
Yeah, but with that name, do you eat the princess at the end? Like,
so you eat everything because you're
Okay.
chopping up vegetables, fruits, and tourists, and trying to serve them in an arcade like 4-player shenanigans.
So this
chef
shit's
game.
Motel Hell, the video game.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
It's a co-op cook 'em up. Neversong hits PC. This is a casual adventure RPG, very stylish. I think the soundtrack is going to be pretty cool. I only, listened to the trailer and whatnot, but I like music. It's cool. There's a little boy named Pete who slept peacefully in a coma. When he awoke, he was in a nightmare. It's got that 2D adventure vibe, but the camera is like very far from the character. If that helps sell it. So I was thinking more of like a swords and sorceries picture, where like the character is very like pixelated and kind of far away, than like an up close Metroidvania style. The Persistence hits PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. This is an action adventure VR game. Survive aboard a doomed deep space colony starship overrun with horrific and murderous apparitions. Explore, evade, and fight your way through the depths to bring the ship back to Earth. Gather resources, upgrade abilities. It's a sci-fi horror roguelike in VR.
Yeah, it's in VR. Okay. I was going to say, I'm suddenly looking into this one now that you gave me the title to it, but...
Yeah, I don't know that it is available to play without VR. Everything I saw was VR. Red Wings, Aces of the Sky hit Switch. This is a third person sim Red Baron dogfight game.
This shit reminds me so much of Crimson Skies, it's not even funny.
Yeah, it's just old school, like biplanes, triplanes, however many planes fighting each other, and looks pretty exciting. Fluxteria hits PS4 and Switch. This is a arcade space shooting action game in 3D. So think of a cartoony Everspace. Story mode, survival mode, time attack mode, obstacle mode, a bunch of different levels. The style is very much like almost cell shaded. I don't know if we have a term for like post cell shading, because it's not quite that, but I don't know. It's cartoony, but it still looks pretty fun. Monster Train hits PC. This is a strategy card game. It's a roguelike deck building game with a twist. I like how many games.
Too many of those coming out.
Right? It's constant.
It's the new open world survivor zombie game.
Yep. You're set on a train to hell, and you use tactical decision making, and it's a strategy card game. You play cards, you fight bosses, blah blah blah. For me, something I was quite excited about, Saints Row the Third Remastered hits this week for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. A remastering to probably it's not my favorite, but one of my favorite open world games. Definitely my favorite Saints Row game. It is really damn good. It has a hilarious story. I think it's good top to bottom. It's got a fantastic soundtrack. It's got some amazing set piece moments, but $40.
That's a lot for a game that's going on 10 years at this point.
Yep. It's a game I've played hours and hours and hours of. I have so much time in Saints Row the 3rd.
One of the most memorable moments from the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 generation was in Saints Row the 3rd, when you're coming back for some mission and you put on Sublime and everyone starts singing the lyrics to What I Got.
Yep.
And I just watched that, and they do like the entire goddamn song.
Yeah, because that's how long the drive is. It's flipping hilarious.
And I was like, okay. And they're like fucking up the lyrics and they're laughing about it. It's not just them singing it, but it's them singing it like normal people would sing it.
Yeah.
It's real good. That
moment.
game is amazing.
And then obviously the pinnacle of that game is when you finally meet the mayor.
Which we will not spoil here.
One of the single greatest unexpected guest appearances I've seen in a video game is meeting the mayor in Saints Row the 3rd.
Absolutely.
But I think $40 is a little steep.
It is.
And last but definitely not least, a game that looks so damn stupid fun, and I mean that in the nicest possible way. Fucking Maneater comes out this week for PS4, Xbox One, and PC.
Here she comes.
This is the open world action adventure shark simulation game where you play as a shark and you eat the shit out of everyone to level up to be a bigger shark, to eat the shit out of yet even more people. You are there to terrorize a beachfront town and have a damn good time doing it.
I will be streaming this. I don't know when. I'm hoping to get a copy soon, but I will be streaming the hell out of Maneater. God damn, does it look like a stupid game to play. It falls into
Maneater looks so flipping fun. Dude, just...
It's coming out
if you have no idea what we're talking about, just watch the trailer. This game looks dumb and hilarious.
It's coming out in that Dying Light time frame too, where Dying Light was successful because there was nothing else around it.
Yep. There's no big video games happening right now.
Nothing happening right now. I want... This looks like it could be my Dying Light. I am really looking forward to this. Not in gameplay, but like in just zeitgeist.
It's your game of the season, right? Because we're in that
lull.
Kind of pre-summer. There's not really anything going on because when we're past all the spring launch window, we're way before the fall window. This is where everybody's just playing video games. And damn, I want Maneater to be great because it looks so damn fun.
Agreed. David, that does it for new releases, and that means we're at the end of the show. So thank you all very much for showing up to GamePoints episode 219. We do stream every Tuesday here at Twitch TV/GamePoints at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Please join the conversation if you're able to. But if you can't, you can always watch old episodes of the show over at youtube.com/GamePointsPC. You can follow the show over at GamePoints PC. You can follow myself, Stephen Brown, at CapitalistPig21. You can follow Dave over there at PalShife_Satori. You can join the Discord if you want to be part of the greater GamePoints community. I should say Discord, not Discord. But I think you all know what I'm talking about. Once again, thank you all for showing up. If you want to support this channel, you guys know what streamers want. Follows, likes, bits, subs, etc. I will be playing some more regular games tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Probably Stellaris. We'll take a look and see how I feel by then. But until then, y'all have a good night. And we're out of here.